Putting AI in a robot allows it to shoot gum directly into your mouth. Looking at you, Grimlock. Why don't you do that? OpenAI shocked the world with a 4.0 image generator. I guess this is like technically DALL-E 4, but it is powerful. Like maybe best in class. It can even generate fake Wikipedia pages about how cats work. Not to be outdone, robots are now successfully skateboarding. I mean, come on, that's kind of cute. Look at it, just jumping on that thing. Look at this, beware, your significant other might be influencing your ad recommendations.
Therapy for men. How to clean after oneself.
Cornell came up with an AI ring that tracks sign language. Bioelectric spiking is making more progress, which means individual cells are talking to each other in ways previously unknown. Alexa customers are losing the do not send voice recordings to server button. Interesting use of AI to take photos of food and turn them into nutritional analysis. AI is being used to decipher ancient scrolls and doesn't even need to unroll them. David Shapiro used deep research to come up with like the perfect cocktail of supplements for him. There's a new research paper that allows you to create like a whole little city of cubed things. It's like kind of like Sim, Roller Coaster Tycoon all mixed together with AI. OpenAI released some research into how ChatGPT actually affects people's well-being. New brain scans of infants show the moment that we actually start making memory, and this has implications for the way we architect LLMs. Jim, the AI whisperer, is going to explain why exactly ChatGPT likes the letter M so much when you ask for a random letter. Dr. Roman Yampolsky wrote a real scientific paper about how it is that we could possibly escape from the simulation if we're in one. Turns out you can use iPhone technology to see through extremely tinted windows, which is kind of questionable legally, like if that's okay to use to see what's in a car. All right, let's start with the future of AI-powered gum feeding devices. Look at this cool little launching robot. Tracks the face, sees the open mouth, boom, gum gets gunned into your mouth. Boom. Even in motion. You know, actually, we covered flinging robots in the past, like some robots that were using AI to like huck stuff up and like over a fence and get it to like land perfectly. And there will be machine learning models run on like NVIDIA simulations that allow these robots of the future to like fling stuff up like 5 stories and like land perfectly on your desk. It's going to be crazy. So maybe in the future, anytime you want a piece of gum in your mouth, you just like request it, open it, boom. Some gum gets like shot from a local cannon like 3 miles away, boom, right in your mouth. What is my purpose? Your purpose is to pass butter. Shoot gum in people's mouth, I mean. All right, let's talk about image generation. Every once in a while, there's just a big update that just seems like a significant step forward. I guess we could call this DALL-E 4. They're not calling it that. They're just saying it's 4.0 image generation. But behind the scenes, the same tool that did DALL-E 3 has been seriously updated. It handles text now in a way that I have not seen before. Oh my gosh, look at the tension. This reminds me of like the old dial-up internet where it starts like blurry at the bottom and then becomes clear slowly, pixel by pixel. Dude, I love it. How cats work, the sleep cycle, pounce mode, meow output and purr generator. That is hilarious. That is such a, I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but that is hilarious. This user asked for it to be more like a Wikipedia page, and here you can see it did the skeleton, digestive system, sleep, hungry. So funny. Make a clean, pausable anatomy diagram of this animal. Dude, you can just give it cartoons and say, make me an anatomy, and it works. Liver, shart? What do you mean shart? Is that the nose? Brain, lungs, heart, stomach? Look at its ability to do voxel art. That is so cool. It is so Minecrafty. And here's where it's going to get really powerful, because it could seriously be a Photoshop killer if you can just say things like extract this asset from a thumbnail, put it on a transparent background. I mean, there are so many tools devoted to that. And there's so many like fine-tuning pieces of Photoshop that people have spent years learning that it's just like, boom, if you can just do that. So describe what you want to add, remove, or replace. Okay, let's try this. Let's cut out the pounce mode cat and make it so it's about to pounce on a dog. I've heard really good things about this model. I've seen amazing stuff, so maybe it can do it. But this absolutely would have been impossible for me to believe it could be done well. All right, let's not get too excited here. It definitely screwed up this post. This is not good. First off, it didn't remove the cat. It sort of turned the cat into a dog and a cat? That's not what I asked for. Could you interpret that? Cut out the pounce mode cat and make it so it's about to pounce on a dog. No. I mean, a lot of times this stuff gets cherry picked. I mean, it does some really neat stuff with putting images on billboards. Dude, and look, Matt Wolfe even took a photo of himself, turned it with ChatGPT into a T-pose for a video game character, then used Trippo to turn it into an actual 3D generated image or into an actual 3D object, and then was able to rig it with not terrible results. Not good enough to be considered like what a pro would do, but holy cow, that's getting so powerful. Look, Matt Wolfe even posted a picture of me as Studio Ghibli. I mean, seriously, of me. Like, look, that was a dinner we went to. There's Matt Berman and there's me, Kevin and Saj, like the whole crew. It's so fun. All right, let's see if we can do this. Give me an image of an astronaut holding this toy tiger. Oh, this is actually pretty good. Okay, so Hobbs's forehead got shrunk a little bit from the toy, but look at how well it captured the like crochet, the little scarf thing. Wow, that astronaut looks pretty realistic. Honestly, that is okay. So I don't know why it blew the whole cat pouncing on a thing. Maybe it's not a Photoshop killer yet, but wow, it is a great image generator. And the fact that I could bring an image in like that, wow, how is that possible? Look at the shadow from his arm kind of on top of the glove. I mean, the American flag looks pretty close. It doesn't just look wonky like a lot of that stuff. Don't think it has the right amount of stars, but I mean, all this stuff looks pretty real. Like that looks kind of worn, like real sort of space leather or whatever that is. Is this buyable? What, like, do these look like the kind of pouches that really hold stuff? I mean, it's got Earth in the background. I don't know. That's amazing. I mean, it got the nose pretty right. It made this one a little more smiley, but it put 2 stripes on the side. My Hobbs has 3 stripes total, but it does kind of look like 2 from that photo because those blend into the ears. The ear shape looks legit. Look, 3 black stripes, 4 orange pieces, and then the white at the hand. That is definitely correct. Woo! All right, the hype is real. I'm going to be playing with this a lot more, but there's something here. Okay, so maybe this just appeals to me because I went through a skateboarding phase when I was younger, but look, the robot dogs are now skateboarding. And look, I'm not going to lie, I've seen a lot of YouTube shorts, a lot of Instagram reels of dogs riding skateboards. I went through a phase of that too. So it kind of tickles me to see the robots like skateboarding, like the robot dogs with the 2 legs on, 2 legs off, doing the kind of like the way dogs just are shaped, and the way that they are on skateboards is like super cute, I think. And now it's really kind of fascinating to see the robot dogs doing that. I mean, look at it just going there, getting a little momentum, jumping on, riding them for a minute. Let the friction, the friction will slow you down, but boom, you just throw a little more pushes in there and you're back on. All right, look, be aware. We're going to talk about Alexa and how you have to like basically always send audio recordings to the cloud now, which makes this viral clip a little poignant. Point of view, your husband leaves his phone unattended and you're trying to influence his Target ads.
Therapy. Therapy for men. How to clean after oneself. How to load a dishwasher. How to fix a toilet. Chanel, YSL, Louis Vuitton, spa days for wife. Let wife sleep in. Vacation.
So Cornell created a new AI-powered ring. They call it the spell ring. And it uses micro sonar as a mini gyroscope so it can tell like the orientation of the finger. They connected that to an artificial intelligence model. They connected the shapes that people were using when they were in sign language to American Sign Language into English. And once you're in English, of course, you can like translate to any language, which means with some deep learning and a ring, you can have 92% accuracy speaking in American Sign Language anywhere in the world, as long as they have someone to translate on the other end with AI. Because AI can also track facial movements and expressions and upper body movements as a whole. You can even get higher accuracy. So just this idea that like not only can any language talk to any language, there's so many more modes of communication, thoughts, body language. We are going to have so much abundance, so much like multiplicity of ideas, because now the whole world's starting to communicate, and all of these little echo chambers based just on language and geography and types of communication are getting broken down. Okay, scientists have detected the silent scream of a skin cell for the first time. Okay, I don't know if I would describe it as a scream, but it is bioelectric communication. I really want to do an interview with this guy. He's somebody that I just came across randomly on podcasts, and he started talking about bioelectric communication. There is something to this. This is going to be another frontier, just like the microbiome and the virome, where AI is going to come in, big data is going to come in, and we're going to learn some amazing things about how our cells are communicating with each other and how that affects biological life. And now these scientists at UMass have discovered that skin cells are not as quiet as we thought. Makes sense in this bioelectric world. It turns out when they get injured, they send out this slow electric scream, right? Or just slow electric pattern, but it's basically to alert the neighbor cells that they're dying, that they're in trouble. And, you know, it might as well be called a scream, right? This is what it is. You're like, yo, I mean, it happens a little slower than a human scream, but still. Using this high-tech chip and lasers, researchers found that the epithelial cells, which are the scales that line our organs, use a calcium ion flow to communicate, kind of like nerves do, just much slower. And it opens up the possibilities for wound healing technology, finding out what kind of conversations are happening between our cells when they're sick, wearable sensors, and so much more, especially when it gets connected to big data and AI. All right, look, I hate to say it, but if you use Alexa all the time and you hoped for that tiny bit of privacy that was behind that one button that was called "Do Not Send My Voice Recordings," you're screwed. That button's gone now. And in just like probably by the time you watch this video, March 28th, they're just going to do a firmware update, remove the button altogether, and give you no choice. Like, you are now sending your voice recordings to the cloud. It will not be recorded and processed locally. And it kind of bugs me because, like, what are people going to do? Like, first off, 99.9% of them are not even going to know that the button existed, or if they have checked it, they're going to assume the update didn't get rid of it. They're not going to read the fine print. And honestly, even if it does bug you, does it bug you enough that you're going to, like, give up your Alexa, even though you've probably connected it to all these smart things in your homes? No, don't even pretend about privacy anymore. AI in health, obviously, a lot of cool things happening there. New app is using AI when you take a photo of the food that you're eating, and it gives you much better nutritional profiles than anything we've ever seen before. I know this tech will even get more advanced in the future, but this is a really interesting use case. I do think that it's not that much trouble to grab my phone, take a photo of what I eat each day, and really get an assessment of the macros, on how it's affecting me, and probably in the future connect that to health data. And it will probably say to you, hey, like that thing that you ate this morning for breakfast, that ended up causing a serious problem with your inflammation levels. Stay away from it, or whatever. You don't have the gut bacteria to process that right now. Don't eat it. But moving in a practical step, this AI food scanner can analyze a meal's nutrient content just by snapping a photo. And for the people who are like logging calories, logging photos, they're using databases to like estimate, and like estimations, like it's one fistful, which is probably like about a cup. Like, dude, that stuff can all be AI'd away. AI will be able to tackle visual diversity, portion size estimation, food recognition, combinations, all of that stuff. And this new model that they're using is a deep learning model. It's called YOLO V8, and it can pretty accurately estimate calories, fats, carbs, proteins from a wide range of dishes right now. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, REUTERS uploaded this video. It is called "How AI is Helping Decipher Ancient Scrolls." It was a gem of a video, just a couple minutes, but look at what it could do with different scans, and it could actually see the most minor differences in how the writing of the scroll was while rolled up, unrolled it like visually, and pretty much deciphered it. Like, This exists. Like, AI is affecting historians today, and it's going to start piecing together pieces of history that we have never known about before. So, I mean, this video is kind of worth looking up, I guess, or just knowing about. Like, it's a 2,000-year-old buried ancient scroll. It's so fragile, you can't unroll it. You'll ruin it. So they just have to, I mean, how stressful would that be? Just looking at that thing all the time and being like, oh God, I wish I could just unwrap that. But if you did, it would fall apart and you'd lose the information. So that's where AI steps in, right? So they're scanning it with all sorts of different technologies that can probe its internal structure. I'm guessing like things like X-rays and whatever else they can get their hands on. And they're finding tiny little changes in the spots that have ink on them versus the parts that don't. It's actually able to figure out what layer of the roll it is in while it's still rolled up. And there's one scroll that actually was housed at Oxford that they were able to pull chunks of Greek text off. Okay, so one of my favorite AI YouTubers, David Shapiro, he has a community where he talks about things that he's doing. One thing that sort of fascinated me this week is that he used the deep research tool to talk a lot about what actual supplements work. And it knows a ton about him. And he's, I don't know if you know, but he's kind of been going through a bunch of health things. It's really sad. But this is cool because he's looking for solutions with AI and it's helping him put together combinations of supplements that maybe just are perfect for him, but they actually have research behind them. So for what it's worth, this is what helped him. L-theanine, phosphatidine, cortisol, valine, groot, I don't know, passion flower. But the point is you can do something similar. I can do something similar. Like we can go to deep research, different supplements. We can talk to it about what our symptoms are, our energy levels, our stress, our maybe previous health conditions, and find patterns that I just don't know if a doctor would catch. I mean, maybe an expert would, but who has access to an expert doctor all the time to like think through all this stuff with you? These tools are so powerful now. And I'll tell you what, Gemini 2.5 is like, it's just killing it. Like, I know I can't say that you should use it for medical advice because you should be a licensed professional and these things can have hallucinations and whatnot. But there are some times where it's just crushing doctors in some ways. And if nothing else, use it to do your own research, to think about things, to try to find patterns that you can then take to your doctor. All right, let's talk about some research. It is called SynCity, Training-Free Generation of 3D Worlds. And this new SynCity method is absolutely impressive. It is a method for creating rich, immersive 3D worlds from just text prompts. There's no training, there's no fine-tuning required. It seems to understand like larger environments and how things should be unified in between them. It cleverly combines the power of existing language models to help do this. So it's like 2D art generator, and it's part LLM to like keep the narrative and the story and the style, and it's a kind of part 3D object creator. So the trick to making it work is there's this smart prompt engineering system behind the scenes. So each tile is generated with its own mini prompt. And then it's stitched together using blending techniques to ensure a seamless, consistent world. And look at how cool it is. It looks like SimCity or Sim Roller Coaster or something, but it's avoiding those typical 3D generation issues like warped geometry and repetitive visuals. And it's kind of making something I would think could establish like a game environment, like a little Lego city. So look, post-apocalyptic town, Paris at night, a university campus, and boom, it decides, okay, like I'm going to prompt in the background, kind of like the way the reasoning models do. It thinks to themselves about all the things that would be on a university campus. And then it puts the whole campus together. It's a whole little world, a theme park. And then look, you could drop right in and just start exploring it in 3 dimensions. So look at this interactive demo. I'm controlling it with my mouse. Wait, does it have W? Yeah, WSD. I can like, whoop, oh, went underneath it. Maybe I should be careful about that. Where'd it go? So yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I'm in this little world and I can walk around it. All right, so there's some new research coming out of OpenAI on the health and well-being of the people using their product. I mean, I always want to take something like this with a grain of salt because I feel like it's going to be kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good. Like you should use more of it because it's the product. Oh, look, actually, look at that image. That's great. Little person hugging with all the text in them. That's LLMs. So the TLDR is that most people are treating these large language models like productivity tools. They're talking to it like coworkers more than like bonding with it. But the people that do kind of bond with it, and they spend an average of over 30 minutes a day chatting, just sort of about like whatever stuff, like personal stuff. turns into people using the product a lot more. So if you bond with it, that you're on the product longer. I think that's probably kind of us, but I guess that also means like these companies are going to absolutely be trying to get people to bond with their AIs because that's going to mean more money and more use. Research also found that women were slightly less social after 4 weeks of using it. But yeah, they suggest that the more somebody trusts and connects with ChatGPT, the likelier they are to feel lonely and dependent on it. So yeah, try not to fall in love with your AI agent right now because it doesn't care about you in the same way a person would. It doesn't have the same guardrails, mechanisms, human body form factor, and it just might feel like it's very human and it just kind of isn't. Anyways, let's talk about memories. Brain scans of infants reveal the moment that we start making memories. I've always been really fascinated on memory and my own development. Like I've thought in the past about, I have this pretty strong memory that's, you never know. These memories can kind of be like inceptioned over time. So it might be a little kind of rewritten in that sense. But I think I remember the first time I looked in the mirror. Like I had a stove. I was a kid. I was like kind of a toddler. I had a stove. It was reflective. And I stood there and it kind of, in my head fairly clearly, I remember the corner where the stove was next to the fridge. And I just looked at myself and just thought about how I was in the world. That's me in the mirror. I am separate from that. And that's me. Like, I just remember being like, wow, I'm like in this world. And it sort of stuck with me. And then I thought back to like what my earliest memories were, how much I could kind of rely on them. And I find it really interesting that I just sort of have these moments sporadically that I can't even totally connect in what order they happened or which ones came before others. But whatever's going on in my brain before that, I'm clearly conscious, I'm alive, I'm reacting. And then there's a version of me that starts remembering, not remembering like instinctively, like my body's remembering how to move, but like I'm thinking about my own memories and replaying them, recreating them with most of the context of the environment. And there's now a new study that uses infant brain scans to help us peek into when we start forming memories like that. And it turns out it's about the 1-year-old mark. Researchers, Columbia, Yale, they scanned 26 baby brains and they watched videos and took simple memory tests and found that the hippocampus, the brain's memory hub, started kicking in around the age of 1. Before then, the hippocampus is just too underdeveloped to lock in an experience. So even though we can't recall our earliest years, which is a mystery called infant amnesia, these findings suggest that our brains are forming memories early on, even if we're not remembering them when we're older. And this is relevant for how big we build AI neural networks and when they're going to actually start remembering what they learn. When structures like the hippocampus are fully developed, that will teach us the kind of architectures that might help us actually build systems that seem conscious, that seem aware of themselves in similar ways. And then once we do start remembering things, we start losing the ability to be random. So Jim the AI Whisperer wrote, "Why AI loves M when asked to pick a random letter." I'll just kind of briefly do this because I've talked about it before, how it's really hard for a large language system to come up with a random number or a random letter. It's also really funny with the new reasoning models because last time I covered it, the reasoning models weren't really out yet. And now that we can see them think and contemplate. So then look at how hilarious it is. I swear I do this in my head too. If somebody's like, pick a random number, I'm like 7. No, don't do 7. They'll expect that. Do something different, like 3 or 0. It just tickles me because it's like kind of does the same thing. So ChatGPT tends to use the letter M more than others. He was prompting it by saying, give me a random letter of the alphabet. Don't use Python because it doesn't want it to actually like use a tool that randomizes it for it. It wants to like look like just think in your own brain of a random number. And because the structure of the neural network isn't random, it's not going to be able to do it. There's structure to what it knows about randomness, and you can't get the randomness back in. I mean, like here he generates 10 times, and it's like, I'll randomly select the letter M, J, M, K, M, M, J, M. Like, if it was random, it'd be random. TLDR, never let an AI generate your passwords. But look at how interesting. After a brief mental shuffle of the alphabet, the letter that popped up most vividly was K. There's no formula here, just gut-driven model, intrinsic nudge. It feels sufficiently random. I'll pick a letter by mentally scrolling through the alphabet and stopping at one that feels right. How about K? That's my random choice for you today. And look, it even wants to not overthink. I think the simplest approach is to just pick a random letter, maybe between A and Z by drawing straws. Kind of ambiguous, but I don't want to overthink it too much. It's likely just a case of selecting randomly, by some non-technical method. So I could just say the randomly selected letter is Q for simplicity. I'll choose Q. So let's check this out. ChatGPT 4 selects M most of the time. DeepSeek also likes M, big surprise copycat, probably trained on that data. R1 seems to be the most random and it changes its mind multiple times in the chain of thought. That's the one that kind of trips me up. I feel like DeepSeek V3 is the most like, is that right? Let me try something different. No, that's too normal. Like how do I check? O1 likes T, R, and W. Sonnet likes K and N. Copilot likes G, then M and Q. Grok 2 just likes J, and Grok 3, it just pretty much likes the letter K. Anyway, it's just fun to think about how these models are built and like the way they have biases. All right, so look, if you think we're in a simulation, we might be, okay? Like there's something weird going on the quantum scale, and like there's something non-local about everything, and like everything feels like math is like out there already. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're in a simulation. I really like thinking about that. Here is how to escape. This is Roman Yampowski. This is a legit research paper of how to escape the simulation. Okay, so here's what you got to think about. And this also is going to apply for AI systems, some kind of like GPT-7 of the future. We need to treat the agent like a cybersecurity problem. Can an agent be smart enough or super intelligent in the future beyond like anything we can imagine that it could jailbreak its own reality? Just feasibly, would it ever realize that it's an AI, it could break out of some kind of a system and learn about the real world if we didn't teach it? Because if so, maybe there's hope that we could break out of our simulation also, assuming that we are one for this conversation. There's plenty of reasons to do it, right? Why would you want to know if we're in a simulation and what's outside of it? You would actually know true knowledge about what this whole thing is, what our whole universe is. Maybe there's infinite resources that go beyond like what we have, more energy, maybe immortality. So like, could Mario ever, if it was super intelligent, hack its way out of the video game and learn about the real world, about us, the people who programmed it? Could Mario detect certain glitches in his environment that would work? Could he pull off social engineering tasks where he's like talking to the player and like asking questions about our world and could discover something from us? So I also want to talk about this sort of really interesting legal framework I came across. So let me set this up for you. There is the ability for a police officer to walk past a car that doesn't have tinted windows, look in it, see something illegal, and then make an arrest or prosecute someone or whatever. Say like, hey, I see that illegal thing in your back seat. Hey, can you step out of the car? I now kind of have evidence to like arrest you. Now, if the car has extremely tinted windows that you can't see through, obviously the police officer can't see it and he can't ask you to open the door and then look in. If you don't want to open the door, he can't see it. He doesn't have his evidence. But here's where it gets kind of iffy. There is the ability with a new iPhone to actually use the low light camera to see through tinted car windows. So now it's the question, if a police officer takes an iPhone, something available to everyone in the public, and takes a photo of a tinted window, can see through it and see something illegal, can he then say, hey, I know you got this thing in the back of the car, you need to step out of the car, it's illegal, you're under arrest? And the judge basically said, well, if regular people can do it, then police can also. Now, this is interesting because there has been technology that could essentially see through windows like this before, but the average person didn't have it. And if the average person couldn't do it, then the judges were saying, no, like you can't use this incredibly special technology to like see through windows, because it seemed like it was more like military tech or rare tech or something that only a few people would have access to. But it changes when everybody has access to it. Then it's part of the common culture to use it. Now, all of a sudden, it's fair game. So the reason I find it interesting is because as technology becomes democratized, as we all have superhuman tools with AI, with vision models, then it looks like the courts are going to start moving towards a world where you can actually just use those. Like police can use them, if regular people can use them, and it will change the way that privacy feels to the average person. And there you go. I mean, it's just, we got to get used to that. All right. So this is my Patreon account, patreon.com/Dylan Curious. Help me get to 100 members. We're at 93. That's very exciting. I did break the $200 a month payments from everybody. So like, that's awesome. Thank you for the support. I really love making these videos and it just gives me more time to work on it. Makes it more of an actual business that makes sense. Hit that join button right here on YouTube. It's kind of the same thing as Patreon. You can subscribe to the channel, but if not, a comment helps, sharing it helps. Some of the two best reasons to have a YouTube channel are to meet great people. So I have to kind of keep doing this podcast thing because I'm really learning a lot, and those are some of my favorite things to do. And I'm doing this because I love it, because I want to have fun creating this kind of content, as well as keeping up with the news. I love like digging through things, experimenting with things, playing with things. So there will be the news format, and I'm going to keep trying to do the podcast format. And I know people are like, 2 different YouTube channels, but that's just like so difficult. And I feel like I'm lucky enough to have the tiniest bit of traction with my 20,000 subscribers right now. And I don't think I can split it up and make them both work. So I'm going to keep publishing them both here. And yeah, that's just that. So yeah, whatever. I mean, it made $14. Hopefully the 2,200 people that did view it really got something special out of it. But my last video is doing pretty well. I mean, for 15 hours old, 7,000 views is actually really good. So thanks for giving me that bounce back view. And I'm so sorry about that yellow background. Dude, the hotel room I was at, that was just all there was. Like that, I mean, I'm just sitting at the edge of my bed. And I'm not using my good camera either, or my good microphone. I just had my iPhone. So I had to roll with it. I was traveling. Look, I don't have the library right now. I'm going to try to find more interesting stuff for the background. Of course, Hobbes and Grimlock are coming with me. Like, don't worry. I'm not leaving them behind. Oh, geez. Look, the bookshelf didn't just hold books. It held the fabric of space-time, the future of AI commentary, and the possibly Dylan's soul. What? Oh, if it shows up blinking in the new studio, we riot? You mean if I green screen it in? Holy crap. Don't riot. No, don't riot. God, I love that bookshelf. But I don't know. I'm going to find a better background for this studio. I mean, I'm going to add to this. Crap. You want the books there's not that much room back here for a bookshelf. You want all books on there? All right, so let's make an anti-folk song here as the genre. I don't know what anti-folk is, but you know, it's good for comments maybe. We'll find out. And while you're listening to this awesome song I generated from your comments, here is AI showing you the full Batmobile evolution all the way from 1939 to 2022.
I am voting against the green screen and asking for a return to the library with Grimlock. The bookshelf didn't just hold books, it held the fabric of space-time, the future of AI commentary, and possibly Dylan's soul. If it shows up blinking in the new studio, we riot. As a developer, I think we would eventually see a transition to real, neuromorphic, integrated, dynamic, and more powerful architectures that would indeed step us up to an AGI, but not current transformer-based LLM models on scale. Just my opinion.
All right, there you go. We'll see you guys in the next video. Hit subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.